Okay, ladies and gents, welcome to the stream here. And well, we're going to talk about some pretty disturbing stuff today, because all the stuff we've been going over and talking about in terms of censorship and this authoritarianism is really coming to the forefront now. I mean, it's way worse than I think we could have even imagined 6 months or a year ago. All those things I was talking about in 2020 onwards are just sort of ramping up now. Remember, we talked about the hockey stick back 2020, 2021 period, and I said how this would ramp up. That's what the hockey stick is all about. It starts like this, then goes up, and then just flies off. So we've seen today, we'll focus quite heavily on the Telegram CEO, Pavel Durov, who was arrested. This story is unbelievable when you really get into it all. I was listening to the mainstream media, and again, it is the exact same script. Every single one of them is saying identical. So they've all been given the same thing to say. And long story short, he was traveling from Azerbaijan on his private jet. He landed in France, and that's probably his first mistake, because he didn't renounce his French citizenship. He still got a French passport and citizenship. So he was traveling through. He landed in France and was immediately arrested by 6 police officers and detained. Pretty shocking the way he's been detained as well. They're going to be holding him for quite a long period of time under some of the most heinous crimes you can ever imagine. And when I first saw it, because some of the headlines said he's being held under terrorism and child P charges, I was like, no, I know, I've seen interviews with this guy. There's just, I can't even imagine he would be into any of this stuff. And then when you get into it a little bit deeper, it's nothing to do with that. He hasn't done any of these charges. And actually, if you read all the stuff, it doesn't even say that. They're saying because he is the CEO of Telegram and he wouldn't give in to the pressure and the request by the European Union, that now he is being charged because anything that took place on his platform, he is responsible for as the CEO. That is absurd. That is like, let's say, the Prime Minister of the UK or the President of the US said that he's guilty of these crimes because he's in control of that platform. Imagine if that same applied to them, that there's all sorts of crimes that take place in their countries, and because they're the leaders, that means that they are responsible. They're the leaders of those countries, so it's their responsibility and they should be charged. I mean, of course not. That would be somewhat absurd, but it somehow applies to online. So Durov, 39, was traveling on his private jet from Azerbaijan when he was taken off the jet and arrested. It's interesting as well, all the media are calling him a Russian citizen, and they just keep saying Russian citizen. He's sort of a Russian citizen, but there's a long backstory with that as well. If you ever saw the Tucker interview, he actually fled because they wanted his information a long time ago, the Soviet Union. So he fled there. So now they're trying to link him to say he's Russian and Russia, because obviously the media, anything that's Russia is bad and evil. So because this guy, even though he hasn't even lived in Russia, he lives in Dubai and he hasn't even been to Russia, they're saying he was born in Russia, therefore this guy's an evil Russian guy. I mean, the media are pretty sick in the head. This is what France put out. He made a blunder this evening. We don't know why. Was this flight just a stopover? In any case, he's in custody! ! Smiley face. Who puts a smiley face? That's weird. Duran was detained by the National Anti-Fraud Office over the allegation facilitation of various crimes, including terrorism. This was what he was initially taken off the plane for. Terrorism, narcotics trafficking, and fraud. But now there's more, and these ones are even like so heinous and serious. I think it's pure evil for them to put these charges on him. So one of them, they said now, is child P stuff. They're saying that he's responsible for that and the facilitator of that with all these cases. They've added organized crime and cyber bullying. So this is what they've now added to his charges. It was initially that he could get 20 years in prison. They're now saying it's going to be way more than that. It could be a life sentence in prison because he won't give over the access to the information that they want. So that's what this is all about. They want access to all the Telegram messages, and he said he's not going to give them. It goes on to say the Russian-born Durov. It keeps going on about him being Russian. But actually, if you look at the details, he left Russia in 2014 after he refused to comply with demands to shut down opposition communities on his VK social media platform, which he sold. He lives in Dubai. Telegram is based in Dubai. It's nothing to do with France or the EU. Unfortunately, he has a French passport. And I think that is, in my opinion, the biggest mistake that he made. He should have got rid of that. He's got enough money to buy whatever passports he wants. That was, I think, probably the error. But who would have thought you're worth 15 billion or something in that region? It's anywhere from 13.5 to 15.5 billion. Would you honestly think that you would get arrested by 6 police officers, taken off the plane, your jet, and then thrown in prison, thrown in a cell, and all the stuff that, I mean, we haven't even heard all the stuff released yet, but I'll tell you about this other one that was arrested as well. This is a UK journalist that the same thing just happened to a few days ago. And that is pretty unbelievable what they did to him. Stripped him down, watched him go to the toilet, watched him take a dump. I mean, recorded him doing it. I mean, all this stuff. You cannot believe this is the United Kingdom. This is the country I grew up in and loved. I absolutely, I served in the military. I did 10 years in the army, serving the country. I absolutely loved the UK. And now I'm just absolutely disgusted by the way it's going. It's absolutely shocking what is happening. I just can't believe this is the same country. We've got a lot of, I wanted to pull, because I can only find a few positive articles for him. It's just this whole swamp now of negative articles against this guy, which as far as I can see, I couldn't find any criminal record on him. I couldn't find anything that he'd done wrong. All I could find was very positive stuff about him. So it was very difficult. So there was an article just written, and this is about thought crime. It says the notion of thought crime is making its way to the forefront of the establishment toolbox. And this suggests we're entering the next stage of authoritarianism, which is open criminalization of speech or even thought crime. So as soon as you verbalize that thought and you put it anywhere, and this includes, by the way, personal diaries, that is the thing that's most shocking, I think, of all of this. You put it on social media, yeah, they're going to get you. You've seen the judges going after you now. But even in your personal diary, I mean, how on earth? Your personal diary, people in their own homes, voicing opinions. This is why I'm very careful where I put my phone. I use Telegram. I also use Signal. I very rarely use WhatsApp. It's one of those things, I'm sure a lot of you are the same. You kind of have WhatsApp on your phone, but you know it's recording and listening to you. Same with some of these other things. But because family and some of your friends, they only use WhatsApp, you kind of like, oh man, I've got to keep this junk on my phone. But they've already got all these, if you think about it, they've got Facebook, they've got Instagram, they've got Telegram, they've got all these platforms now. What's left? Not much. You've got X, which is being hit at the minute, Rumble, which is being hit at the minute. In fact, the CEO just fled the country. I don't know if you know this. He was in, I think it was France, but it was definitely in Europe. He got on the first flight out of the country. Yeah, because he was concerned that he was about to be arrested as well. So they've pretty much got all the platforms now. They got YouTube a long, long time ago. And then I was reading some of the articles as well, so some of the newspaper articles that have come out. And they were talking about Elon Musk And they're saying that now that we've got, it always makes me laugh, it's when people say we. No, you didn't do anything. But they say, now that we've got this guy, the Telegram CEO, Elon Musk is next on the list. And then they went on to say, in Britain, the canary has sung. This summer, we've witnessed something new and unprecedented. The billionaire owner of a tech platform publicly confronting an elected leader and using his platform to undermine his authority and incite violence. So this is what they're saying about Elon Musk. And that's why you're seeing now these more and more people wanting to get Elon Musk extradited to the UK to face charges. And it's getting bigger and bigger. There's more and more people and politicians and all sorts of what they called, where you sign your name. My brain's gone blank. Where you sign your name to get people. You need so many signatures. This as well. There's loads of these for him. The presidential election is 3 months away. What if Elon Musk, I'm not saying his name, what if this billionaire contests the results? And then it goes on to say what needs to be done about Elon, stuff like that. They said Elon Musk must be stopped, whether by the carrot or by the stick. And then we had another writer this is Brandon Smith from Alt Markets. He said, the hyper-emotion of the left is an easy lever for the elites to manipulate, and it's not relegated to the US. We've seen the same trend in Europe and the UK. There's an accelerating panic as the working class public, most of them patriots, protested, not rioted, okay, protested in large numbers across the nation against open borders. Almost 70%, according to a survey of the UK, is against current policies on mass immigration. And the Brexit vote was based primarily on the UK's public opposition to the forced mass immigration idea of the EU. And by the way, it is forced. If you read any of the articles about what's happening to Hungary at the moment, the fines that Hungary has got for not allowing migrants into the country is unbelievable. And now Sweden's next. The EU's already drafting legislation against Sweden because theirs was net. So it was basically zero migration. But that's not strictly true. If you look at the stats and you look at the figures, there were a lot of people that came in, but there's also a lot of people that have fled. And you're seeing this a lot. A lot of people are fleeing. So this is another thing going on. So coming back to the CEO then, they added on, so it's fraud, drug trafficking, organized crime, child terrorism, cyberbullying, 20 years minimum, could be life in prison unless, again, this is my words, unless he submits and gives access to all of the messages. The French media are also reporting that his detention has now been extended as well. So they said they can hold him for up to 6 days because of the severity. So he can be held now for 6 days. Some of the stuff is absolutely unbelievable. I wanted to show you a tweet that came up as well. I think it was, we've got two. One is from Macron, so we'll look at that. But you've got all these commentators saying that Musk should be nervous as well. While Durov holds French citizenship, is arrested for violating French law, this has broader implications for the social media, including Twitter. Twitter doesn't exist anymore, it's X. There's a growing intolerance for platforming disinfo and malign influence, and a growing appetite for accountability. This is nonsense. This is absolutely nonsense. I keep seeing this everywhere. It's just not the case. And even though it's unbelievable what some of these people are doing now. This is what Macron said. I've seen false information regarding France following the arrest of Durov. France is deeply committed to freedom of expression and communication, to innovation, and to the spirit of entrepreneurship. It remains nonsense, first of all. In a state governed by the rule of law, freedoms are upheld within a legal framework, both on social media and in real life, to protect citizens and respect their fundamental rights. Okay, so by his very own words here, he should be on trial. Macron should be on trial because there are crimes committed in France every day, which he has allowed through what's going on at the moment in France and throughout the EU, UK, the crime is through the roof because he's letting in criminals. So he then, therefore, should be upheld. The law should be upheld against him. He also said it's up to the judiciary in full independence to enforce the law. Okay, let's get that enforced on Macron, shall we? The arrest of the president of Telegram on French soil took place as part of an ongoing investigation. It is no way a political decision. Nonsense. Of course it is. It's up to the judges to rule on the matter. Yeah, and who do the judges answer to? That is the question here. I wanted to just talk about this other guy then very quickly. In fact, one other thing I'll say, I was talking to my friend and he said to me just before I live streamed, and he's coming over here, he's about to fly over, and he just said, do you think I should still come over? I'm a little bit worried because he's a big social media influencer, massive. I mean, probably 10 million views a month. And he said, do you think I should still come over here? Because I'm worried. I've been covering a lot of stuff. I covered the UK, the protests. He gave his opinion, which is in view with mine. He's very worried to come over here. Another one of my friends as well, he's also worried because they're meant to be coming to visit. And to get to the island where I live, you've either got to fly from the UK or Ireland or Scotland. I mean, there aren't many options. You haven't got many options to get to the island because I live on a tiny island. And which is an independent island, by the way. So they're a little bit concerned if they have to land. So this is really scaring a lot of people. But this journalist, his name's Richard Medhurst. Let me tell you about him real quick. They arrested me, not detained me, under Section 12 of the Terrorism Act of 2000 and accused me of allegedly expressing an opinion or belief that is supportive of a prescribed organization but wouldn't explain what it was. He said that he's a journalist and he covers things independently. 6 police officers were waiting. It's the same thing again. It's the playbook. 6 police officers were waiting at the entrance of the aircraft. I was held for 24 hours and questioned. Everything was confiscated. I was strip searched, handcuffed. He said the handcuffs were put on him so tight that it bruised all of his wrists and almost dislocated his shoulder. They put him in a police van and then they drove it around, made him fall on the floor. He said they put him in a strip search, stripped him, put him in a room, made him take off his shoes and socks, turn them inside out, hold his feet up in the air for a prolonged period of time. This is, I mean, we can only go by what he's saying, but this sounds more like the sort of stuff in Afghanistan or Iraq. Held in a room with UV bright lights for 24 hours. Everything was confiscated. They took his DNA, his fingerprints, palm prints, photographed me, placed in solitary, recorded him for 24/7. Even when he went to the toilet, he had to do it right there in front of the camera. There was nothing he could do. He said the whole process was designed to humiliate, intimidate, and dehumanize me. And he was there for 24 hours. He couldn't sleep. And his parents won the Nobel Peace Prize for their work as peacekeepers. And he said he's anti-war and he's not afraid to speak out about it. Gosh, ladies and gents, this is worrying. It really is. You know me, I usually just say, look, I don't really care. It doesn't bother me. But I think the way things are going, this is getting really, really disturbing and worrying now. And just be careful. That's all I'll say. Be careful. Let's catch up again tomorrow. And apart from that, take care, God bless, and I'll see you on the next video.